Welcome back to Rekt Radio, the only show on Earth that looks at a market full of furious, frustrated people and says, now this is getting interesting. I'm Sunny, and folks, you can feel the tension in the air. It's the kind of tension that precedes a massive breakout.
And I'm Cole, here to tell you that tension is usually what you feel right before something snaps. This isn't the prelude to a breakout, it's the sound of 1,000 investors collectively grinding their teeth down to the nerve.
Let you call it agony, I call it passion. And you can't talk about passion without talking about one of the most dedicated communities in all of crypto, the XRP Army. They are fired up right now, and I, for one, absolutely love to see it. The energy is palpable.
Oh, they're fired up, all right. They're furious, and they should be, but not for the reasons they think. You see an army, I see a support group for people with financial Stockholm Syndrome. What fresh delusion are you celebrating today?
It's not a delusion, it's righteous indignation. The coin just hit a new all-time high for the first time in 7 years. 7! While every other major coin was blasting off to new records multiple times, they were stuck in the trenches, fighting a regulatory war. Of course they're angry. They're angry that their asset was artificially suppressed while everything else flew. This isn't weakness, Cole. It's the battle cry of a community that survived and is now ready to claim what's theirs.
Let's be perfectly clear. They weren't fighting a war. They were held hostage by a lawsuit that their parent company, Ripple, invited by selling what a judge ultimately ruled were, in some cases, unregistered securities. The anger isn't righteous, it's misdirected. They're mad at the SEC, they're mad at the media, they're mad at Bitcoin maximalists, they're mad at everyone except the people who put them in this position in the first place. Their frustration is just a symptom of a fundamentally broken investment thesis.
You are completely missing the point. Their loyalty is what makes them so powerful. They held through years of mockery, FUD, and legal uncertainty. One member literally said they are honest, sincere fighters who know that XRP will be the best choice for the entire financial world. That's conviction. That's a belief in the technology. A fast, cheap, and fair payment system designed to replace the slow, expensive banks. They see the big picture. The price hitting a new high isn't the victory, it's just the first step. They've been vindicated, and now they want justice in the form of price action.
That's not conviction. That's a rehearsed marketing slogan from a cult. They're not holding because of a belief in the fundamentals. They're holding because they're so deep in the red emotionally that they can't afford to admit they were wrong. They've built their entire identity around this token. They call themselves an army. They joke about being Uber drivers while secretly hoping to become retired crypto millionaires. It's a collective fantasy. The market has been screaming for 7 years that this asset is a dud, and they've just covered their ears and shouted the company's talking points louder.
Wait, let me jump in here. The market hasn't been screaming anything. It's been muffled by regulatory interference. Now that the fog of war is lifting, you're going to see what happens when that pent-up energy is finally released. These aren't just speculators, they are holders. One guy is waiting for XRP to hit $27 based on his technical analysis. That's a nearly 700% increase from here. You don't get that kind of diamond-handed belief from fair-weather tourists. This is a battle-hardened base. When this thing really starts to move, there won't be any sellers. It'll be a supply shock of epic proportions.
A guy's technical analysis from a few years ago is now the basis for a multi-billion-dollar assets valuation. Sonny, you're just proving my point. This is pure delusion. It's hopium masquerading as strategy. The reason XRP hasn't performed is because it's a centralized, banker-friendly coin in a market that at its core values decentralization. The war is over, and the price barely budged. That should tell you everything you need to know. The market has delivered its verdict, and the verdict is, nobody cares. The army is just the last battalion left on a forgotten battlefield, still fighting a war that ended years ago.
It's the calm before the storm. They have endured, they have held, and they are about to be rewarded. You see delusion, I see a lesson in true grit. But speaking of verdicts from the market, let's look at the king itself. Let's pull up the one-day technicals for Bitcoin on TradingView and see what the big guy has to say about all this.
An excellent idea. Let's move away from the land of make-believe and into the cold, hard data. I've got the chart open now. Please try to find a silver lining in this sea of nothingness.
A silver lining? Cole, it's a platinum masterpiece of stability. I am looking at the dashboard right now, and it is the most beautiful Zen-like chart I have ever seen. It's perfect. The overall summary from TradingView for the one-day chart? Neutral.
Exactly. Nothing. A big fat nothing.
Let me finish. The oscillators, which measure the short-term momentum and sentiment, a perfect neutral. And the moving averages, the powerful indicators that show the deep underlying trend of the market, also neutral. This is incredible.
Incredible? Sonny, it's the chart equivalent of a flatlining EKG. Neutral across every single category is not a sign of health. It is a sign of absolute, total, terrifying paralysis. The market is frozen solid.
You are looking at this all wrong. This is the ultimate sign of maturity and strength. After all the volatility, all the chaos, all the news, Bitcoin has found its center of gravity. It is perfectly balanced. This isn't weakness. This is the market building the most powerful, unshakable support level we have ever seen. It's not dumping, it's not pumping, it is calmly holding its ground, absorbing all pressure without flinching. This is pure consolidation. This is the market taking a deep, meditative breath.
Is holding his breath because it's terrified to move. This is a picture of a market that has been completely abandoned by both bulls and bears. The buyers have no conviction to push the price higher, and the sellers are too scared to trigger a collapse. It's a vacuum. It is the definition of peak indecision. You see a meditative breath, I see a deer caught in the headlights of an oncoming semi-truck. A market that goes nowhere is sick market, Sonny. It has lost its trend, momentum, and nerve.
It has shed its speculative frenzy and found its equilibrium. A neutral on the moving averages means the wild swings are over and we've established a new high-conviction baseline. A neutral on the oscillators means we are neither overbought nor oversold. We are in the perfect launch position. The market has digested all the old news and is gathering an immense amount of potential energy for its next move. A lack of panic is bullish. A lack of euphoria is bullish. This is the definition of a healthy foundation.
This is the definition of a trap. A vacuum in the market never lasts. It gets filled, and it usually gets filled violently in the direction of least resistance, which, after a big run-up, is always down. This neutrality is the most dangerous signal you can see. It's a warning sign that the primary trend has exhausted itself. The engine has stalled, the pilot has fallen asleep, and we're flying on nothing but fumes and leftover goodwill. You see a foundation, I see a house of cards in a room with no wind, just before someone opens a door.
That's all for this episode of Rekt Radio. I'll be here enjoying this beautiful, stable foundation being built, knowing that the strongest launches come from the calmest countdowns. Stay bullish.
And I'll be here waiting for the inevitable turbulence. Don't mistake paralysis for stability. When the market doesn't know where it's going, it's usually about to go down. You've been listening to Rekt Radio.